Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're looking at this. Um, so today we're going to talk about mudslinging campaigns, something we're pretty much used to today, but this occurred in the election of 1828. So to begin with, before we get started, Miss Flores is asking you guys to send a little quick video for May the 1st, which is Principal's Day, to Mrs. Runnels. And there's Miss Flores' information. Okay, so before we can get started, we got to do yesterday's program. So, what year was John Quincy Adams elected? Who is John Quincy Adams' father? Where was John Quincy Adams educated? In other words, what part of the world? What did John Quincy Adams help found, which is the picture that we see there? And what is the LA Library making? That's from CNN 10. So the campaign 1828. Well, first thing that happened was that all white men were given the opportunity to vote in the 1828 election. Before that, only property owners could vote. Um, and this became very much the campaign of personality. So I put a little cartoon in there where the two are kind of talking bad about each other. Um, Adams was charged with buying gold plates for the White House and having a billiard table brought into the White House. Plus, there's some other stuff that I can't mention because of your age that Adams supposedly did. Um, Jackson was charged with killing 6 men. Now, when you look up Jackson, he's charged with killing hundreds of men in duel, which is incorrect. I'm just going by the campaign poster, which was 6 men that were named um, because he was accused of being an adulterer. And it wasn't so much on him, but his wife. So you didn't talk about Jackson's wife. That was not permitted by him. And then Martin Van Buren was Jackson's campaign manager. And he's known as the little magician because he had all these different things that he did as a campaign manager. So I talked about the gold plates. There's historically the Adams gold plate that they were eating off of in the White House. And you notice even the silverware is gold. And so this was a big scandal because the country was poor. And, a lot of people were poor. They weren't eating off of plates at all. And here this guy's eating off of gold plates. And then there's a picture of the billiard table that was in the White House. And Adams was probably the first president that brought a lot of people in to entertain. So, we talked about Madison, Dolly Madison, having different things, but Adams had these different parties and stuff to entertain people, kind of get them into a comfort zone where he could talk with them or negotiate with them. And that's what he learned in Europe. And but it didn't do him any good here. You know, billiard tables were kind of, oh, that's not a good thing back then. Jackson, I put Jackson's wife up, who that's Rachel Jackson. Now, what happened was she was married to a very abusive man named Roberts, and she applied for divorce. Well, the guy never signed the papers, so to speak, or something along that line, and so they're only known as separated. And Jackson married her. Well, um, then after they're married, they find out that she's still married. They get the guy to sign the papers, and then they have to remarry. So that was a big scandal back then. Divorce in itself was a big scandal, but to talk about somebody um, getting, married twice or whatever, that was really bad. And so people would call Jackson out on that, and so Jackson would challenge them to a duel. And in this campaign poster, it shows that he killed 6 men. But as I said, when you research, they say, oh, he killed hundreds of men. So we don't really. So there's a picture of the little magician, Martin Van Buren. You notice he has his hand on the world. There's the campaign poster. The first thing he did was he nicknamed Jackson. So he didn't call Andrew Jackson, or General Jackson, or later President Jackson, he called him Old Hickory. So that's the first thing. They give him a nickname. And so they would roll this gigantic ball of yarn. And this is just to give you an example of how big it was. Now, this is an actual ball of yarn somewhere, but that's not the one that they used. They would actually roll it into your town. And people would put pieces of yarn on it. And that was a big, what we call ballyhoo, okay? And so they would bring this thing into your town, and then they would give you straw hats. Now, I tried my best to find straw hats that had Jackson's name on it. The only one I could find was Eisenhower's hats, but they give you straw hats, and it was this huge thing that said Jackson on it, and it was a straw hat. Well, just like today, campaigns give T-shirts out, right? They give T-shirts out. Like you're going to see Trump T-shirts, you're going to see Biden T-shirts. That's what they gave out was these hats. And the other thing they gave out was hickory sticks because guess what? Jackson's named Old Hickory. So there we go. And he's given that name because he walks with a hickory stick. You know, he's been wounded in different battles and stuff, and so he had to walk with a stick, with a cane, and it was a hickory stick. Well, I hope you have a good day. Take care.